all of us together have to figure this out. We all have to move in the right direction together for this change to happen.
Hey y'all, Cory here from Grow Ensemble. In this video, we'll tackle the incredibly difficult, maybe impossible question of how to fix capitalism. To do so, we'll be hearing from Davis Smith, the founder of outdoor apparel brand Cotopaxi, known for its bright colored gear, llama logo, and Gear for Good tagline. Davis has firmly planted his flag in the ground, positing that better business, a better version of capitalism, is possible. Cotopaxi, a certified B Corporation, has a core mission to create outdoor gear that fuels adventure and a spirit to make the world better. To do so, the company dedicates at least 1% of its revenues to help communities experiencing poverty. I recorded a full interview with Davis, which you can find linked in the description below. But in this video, we'll cover first, why Davis believes capitalism is an amazing tool. Second, how all our consumption, not just businesses, plays a role in righting the wrongs of this political and economic system. And finally, where responsibility for systemic change falls between governments, businesses, and individuals. Let's dive in.
It is really the conflict, even for me, where it's how do we do this in a completely different way that's not destructive at all? Because the reality is that capitalism in some ways is this amazing tool. 200 years ago, 94% of the world was living in extreme poverty, under $1.90 a day. When I was born in 1978, I'm 43. In 1978, that had been cut down to 40%. When I graduated from high school, it was 20%. And now it hovers around 9%. Like, we are eradicating extreme poverty. It is amazing. Like, this time that we are living on the planet is an extraordinary time. And a lot of that happened in places like India and China, where there was like an opening of markets that all of a sudden allowed people to pull themselves out of poverty, largely through the principles of capitalism. At the same time, anyone that's traveled, especially, and you can see this anywhere, but especially if you've traveled, you've seen the destructive nature of capitalism. I've seen rivers that used to be tropical rivers, jungle, that are now just slow moving sludge of garbage and of like a tar almost. I've seen rainforests where I grew up in Latin America and South America that are just completely devastated. The reefs that I used to swim at and love when I was a kid that I've gone back to that have completely crumbled and that are just dust on the floor. We are destroying the planet, and we have to think differently about how we consume. And this isn't just on businesses. It's on all of us. Like, how are each of us consuming? How do we do a better job as consumers? And how do we get businesses to be more accountable to how they think about manufacturing and producing product? I don't have all the answers. We aren't perfect as a brand, but it's something that we deeply care about. And 94% of our products last year were made of remnant or recycled or responsibly made material. Most of that being remnants. So we're using leftover materials from these other outdoor brands that many of you know and probably love, but we use the same factory as them. And we have these remnants that we're able to use. And so we're not creating we're not putting dyes into rivers. We're not producing using plastics, virgin plastics to go create materials. We're using leftovers, remnants. So that's a great step in the right direction. At the same time, I don't think that's the solution. We have to do better. And we're working as a brand to figure out what are the next steps? How do we take this a level further? And we're still exploring. I don't know all the answers, but I think that's important also for people to have the courage to say, you know what, I'm not going to be perfect at figuring this out, and I'm going to make some mistakes along the way, but I'm going to try it anyways. I'm going to have the courage to do it. Even if people criticize at times because I didn't do it right, or I didn't do it perfectly, if we can all just have the courage to take those steps forward and say, okay, let's do it, just do it a little bit better than it has been done. It's not perfect yet, but we'll figure it out together.
And what do you think is the differing roles of business or government or individuals and consumers in the business context to affecting these types of change? Because there's oftentimes arguments or pointing fingers of they have to change, or whatever. What do you see the balancing act between all the different responsible, accountable parties?
Yeah, I think this changes when everyone together is in unison moving in the right direction. I think government plays a role. They can play a role in encouraging good behaviors and discouraging bad behavior. I think that's important, but government alone can't regulate us to do this. We need businesses to choose what's right. Number one, because they want to do the right thing. And I feel a lot of hope here because I look at the younger generations they feel very passionately about these things. When I go to a college campus, I go pretty frequently to go speak to students. Last week, I was meeting with a bunch of students. They were asking me questions that I had not even thought about when I was in college. Even when I was in grad school, at Wharton 10 years ago, I remember there was the CEO, the founder of Chipotle was there, and he was talking about this new way of thinking about treating animals. And he talked about how the pigs and the chickens they use are like open range. And like, it was like, wow, they're not being stuck in these pens. And it was really inspiring to see an entrepreneur thinking differently. And I remember one of the students asked, would you consider yourself a social entrepreneur? And the founder was like, I don't know what that means. Is that like social media? What do you mean social entrepreneur? This was like maybe 11 years ago. This is just such a new conversation. And I'm really inspired by these young people that are so passionate about it. So that gives me a lot of hope, because the future leaders of businesses and organizations are going to be these people that think different. At the same time, business leaders will make the right decision when it's expedient for them, when they actually see, and sometimes they'll just make the right decision because it's the right thing. And I think there's a lot of those. But the reality is that other businesses probably won't move until they feel the pressure to do so. And that only happens when consumers change the way they consume. So we as individual consumers need to do a better job of supporting the kind of brands and businesses that are doing things right. So if we say, yes, we care about this, but then we go and we're buying products at retailers or from brands that aren't doing this right, just so we can save an extra dollar or two, then that sends a signal that this stuff doesn't matter. And so again, I think it means all of us together have to figure this out. We all have to move in the right direction together for this change to happen.
Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed this Learn Ensemble video. If you want to learn more about Cotopaxi and Davis Smith's beliefs around if and how businesses can do better, you can check out our full interview linked below. Lastly, if you're interested in living and working more sustainably but don't know where to get started, consider signing up for my free 7-day email series, 7 Days to Living and Working More Sustainably. You can do so by going to growensemble.com/7. Each day for 1 week, I'll send you a short essay that explores what we call around here at Grow Ensemble, the art of living and working more sustainably. Sustainability, while certainly about the things we do, is also very much so about the way we think and how we see the world. Start thinking differently, start living and working more sustainably. Again, to get that free email series, go to growensemble.com/7. All right, y'all. Until next time.